Hello, hello. Welcome back to Speaking of the Village podcast. My name is Nicole Harlot. My lovely co host Dawn Thompson could not be with us today, but I am so excited to be joined by Lital Bernstein, founder of WholeNest. I have personally used the products and I love them, so I'm excited to dive into that story and how you created these beautiful products for mothers. But also, she is a healer, shiatsu therapist, and we're just excited to learn more. So, Lital, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to doing what you do?
Sure. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here, Nicole. I'm excited to share about the WholeNest and about the journey, how I started the product. So I was always drawn to holistic healing, right? To holistic approach. I don't like to call it alternative medicine, but kind of like holistic because it goes end with end with the Western medicine. And growing up, people always tell me, "Oh, you have like really good hands," even as a kid. When I was giving massage or something. So then I went to school for shiatsu and Chinese medicine. Shiatsu is kind of like acupuncture in a nutshell. It's kind of acupuncture, but with their hands. We use our hands, our elbow, even sometimes if the classical shiatsu is on the mat. So we even use the knees, and it works on the chi of the person, right? Chi is life force, it's the energy, and it has shiatsu. It was developed in Japan, but it's based on Chinese medicine. So it's kind of like unblock and unlock blockages, pain. It's really, really a deep, amazing treatment for various of things. And then I was also trained to be a Pilates instructor, and I was teaching classes. I was teaching kids and other classes, movements, shiatsu, all of that. And then I also studied something called a psychotherapy of the body, which is actually the direct connection between the mind and the body. We know now that we can't really separate it. Even doctors know that. It's like a horse and a carriage, right? We cannot really separate it. Whatever we feel in the body, the outside is actually a manifestation of what's happening inside. So the specific program I studied called body mind balancing, meaning like where do we feel the emotion stuck in the body, and how do we work on it, right? If it's through art, conversation, movement, shiatsu, all of that. Then I studied more things. I was also exposed to some work with essential oils, and I was kind of like, the idea is I was in the field of wellness already. And then when I gave birth to my first child, she's almost 10 now. Can't believe this. Time flies.
It
It's
does.
unbelievable. The doula introduced me to this recipe of pure honey and lavender, and she told me how to make it, and I made it myself, and it worked amazing. It's all the stuff that we don't really talk about. What does it mean to heal from childbirth? We
Right.
don't talk about the swelling, we don't talk about the pain, we don't talk about the excessive bleeding sometimes, all those, like, it's kind of like, it's very private. I get it, it's very personal. But she told me, try this. And then I tried it on myself. And it was really unbelievable. I did not have pain within 2 minutes or so. And I had a friend at the time. I mean, she's still my friend. She had a VBAC after, that was her second one after having C-section. And she had very traumatic birth. Yes, it was natural, but her body just wasn't coping. She was having a hard time walking, sitting, even laying down. So I shared with her. I improved the honey and lavender a little bit. I used a different honey and I changed the formula a little bit, and I gave it to her. And it just worked amazing. Meaning within 2 days, it was just like a miracle cream. So this is how it started. It didn't even start as a business, right?
Right. It
It
usually
started,
doesn't, right? In this motherhood perinatal journey, I feel like most of us take our personal experience and then create something that's needed for.
yes, exactly. And I love that. And it was really, I'm all about not only natural stuff, but like ingredients and stuff that the body can recognize. Right. So, for example, honey, which we know when I use now after years of doing this, I use chestnut honey, which is it's known for properties of like healing and very antiseptic. Someone actually wrote a review that is almost like a natural neosporin, which is true.
Okay.
And and I use like very specific lavender essential oil, very clean. So then and the beauty of this product that it's not sticky,
Mm.
even though it's honey. So it's very safe to put it on the panty liner. And then again, you can use it from after birth. And then I realized this is only the first product. Then I developed three more based on my second. After my second child was born, I did some research and I found this like other recipe. And again, I played with it in my bedroom. I had like a whole kit of oils and structured water, which is high vibrational healing water, and frankincense and different kind of frankincense. And I kind of like educated myself. I used it and I loved it. And then the third product, I didn't have that, but it's actually funny enough, it's our bestseller, which is hemorrhoid treatment. Right? It's like this tiny product, but very, very effective. I call it less than a day because the effect is kind of like immediate relief. And then it's funny enough, I was already doing it. It wasn't called WholeNest at all back then. I was just starting. I had two products and I went to a workshop for essential oils, and I was kind of like looking through the books, and it was very old book, kind of like in the movie, like in the movies, how it was like everything was channeled to me. I opened a book, very old book, essential oil book, and there was recipe for hemorrhoid formula during pregnancy. So I tried it. And again, I wasn't like even in like the business mindset yet at all. And I tried it and I shared it with not actually with women, also with men, like people from my family had some
Right.
hemorrhoids,
Anyone
like
who was dealing with it, right?
exactly. I mean, it's more common than what we think, to be honest. And so this is how less than a day started. And then the last product was it's kind of like a room and pillow spray. My daughter had a cold. I put together some things, some oils. I tried it in the bathtub. Disaster. I burned her skin, poor thing. Until this day, she reminds it to me. But then I'm like, okay, so no direct touch, no direct contact with the oils. What can I do? So I sprayed her room, I sprayed her pillow. She was inhaling through the night. Next morning, much better.
Mm.
Opened up airways, eased up congestion. In case of fever, I even rubbed their feet. Of course, you need to make sure that there's no known allergy for any of the essential oils. So I'm excited about it because it's kind of like an extension of wholeness, is kind of like an extension of what I was doing before. um like the healing, the understanding of natural, natural approach. And really the idea, my vision is to help people. That's what it's all about. We're here to help each other. We all have very specific mission in life, and we should support each other. We should help each other. If your product, and if your mission, which I consider my mission, to be as like helpful to humanity, so it's kind of like checks all the boxes.
Yeah, and I think, specifically for our listeners, we have a lot of listeners who are currently pregnant, some who just had a baby. And I think how do I put this? we're shoved in every direction when we're pregnant, and the Amazon registry, the Target registry, all the consumerist stuff, and it's who's got the prettiest packaging and who's got the biggest name and the brand and things like that. And unfortunately, those products are typically not the best, right? The ingredients are not whole, the ingredients are sometimes even harmful. But the one example I use is like the Johnson & Johnson baby smell, right? Like that, growing up, is like the quintessential baby smell. And those products are not not the best. They're not natural. They're very chemical based, and even if they're safe for children, they're still not optimal for children, right? And then also not optimal for the mom. And I think I learned this, right? I am a mom of four, so my first registry definitely didn't have Johnson & Johnson, but it had like more of the bigger name like Aveeno and things like that, Baby Dove, trying to be better. Then I realized very quickly, the mom and pop places, or the businesses that started like yours, where it was a mom working on products that were, working for herself first, because you're not going to put anything on yourself that's going to harm, or be bad. So I started shifting and using those, and just like my personal recovery. I remember for my second, I made like the padsicles, right, with lavender oil and witch hazel and like just basic ingredients. And then even extension to the baby, I just use basic coconut oil and different beef tallow and things like that now for them, just really simple, real ingredients. So I think, they don't come in like beautiful gift baskets like the Johnson & Johnson and the Baby Dove, but I know yours are also very pretty now that it is a business, right? It's beautiful packaging as well, but that's not my point. My point is, it's really important, I think, to get out there that the products that you're using, regardless of which stage, again, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, for your baby, it's an important part of your process, of the healing process, and of the experience that you get. Because if you can eliminate pain, if you can eliminate inflammation, if you can eliminate hemorrhoids, like, let's be real, that's really important. And then I know we were talking a little bit offline right before we started recording. My son was in ER last week because of, some breathing troubles and things like that. So, it's hard to see your children, even with a stuffy nose, even with a cold at that young, because they don't understand, like, all that's going on. They're just like, wait, the stuff's not working anymore. So to products that are safe and effective for them as well is really important. So thank you for doing what you're doing and for creating a business from just your personal experience, because I think that, like I mentioned, I think many of us in the perinatal and maternal health space, regardless of if we're providing a service or creating products, we come from a place of our personal lived experience. And I think that's really important to know. If you're listening to this, really understanding the journeys that most moms that have been on it themselves, they just want to make things better for more moms to come. And it's a unspoken community. Like, we all kind of share that commonality.
Totally. Thank you. Thank you for your words. It is important. And interestingly enough, it's interesting that because the products are so clean, and by the way, I did not mention it, but because of my other practices, and I study spirituality and like the theta healing and this and that, when I made them themselves, I literally was almost like, I don't like the word praying so much. It sounds like it could sound something that it's not, but I was really sending amazing energy and vibes to each woman. I was putting so much intention of each one of the product. I'm like, I just hope that this woman or the person that is going to use it is actually going to heal and be the best they can be for themselves and the baby. So it was like a very intentional, very soulful, and still is. I mean, the products are made in a facility in California right now, but they really maintain the integrity of the brand. And I believe that every product, everything that we see, every tangible that thing that we see, start with a seed, with the intention. So the intention is pretty much out there. And the other thing, because this is how what I started to say, because they're so clean and I use very good and safe ingredients, I found out over time with the feedback of clients that we're using it that it's actually multi-purpose. So the idea is not just for the 6 weeks or so of postpartum recovery, it postnatal and that you just like and that's it, you're a new person after that. No. Most of the products are actually good for other things and have other uses. For example, the Wonder Spray, the one with the special water and the frankincense, it can be for face care, it can be for any irritation. People use it for burns, for cuts. My best friend is a baker. She used this and the honey lavender together as diaper rash, as for headache, for stress relief. The honey lavender, like I mentioned before, kind of like a natural neosporin. This is an excellent thing for burns, like a kitchen burns. And then a friend called me and she said, I've had ingrown toenail for years, antibiotics and creams and that, nothing helped. She used it and it was gone. So it wasn't even my intention. So it's kind of like how this rolled with the products, which I'm happy about because I like to be very practical.
Yeah.
So it started as a straightforward postpartum essential kits, but now it's kind of like, wow, it's a must-have a wellness kit in every household.
For the whole nest, right?
Right, exactly. That's good. Yes. And you're right. When you buy a product on Amazon, it's not necessarily even though I'm on Amazon and I'm grateful for Amazon because still it's allowed me to have an income and all that. But you're right, it doesn't. You not necessarily know who's behind the product. But I can tell you, I can sleep good at night because I know what I offer, and it's almost like I know, yeah, I
Extension
know
of
what I have.
you, right? You said you put your heart and soul into the products, and I think that is a very big different intention, like you said, than a like massive corporation that's just a SKU number. It's just another product that they have on their assembly line. And this isn't to shame anyone who chooses to use those products, right? Like, I want to make that clear. But I think, again, as first time moms, there's so many things that we're not told, and we just do what, our parents did, or we do what our doctors tell us, or we do what we think is the next right thing to do in any capacity, right? We could talk about this with pregnancy, with our birth plans, with our postpartum experiences, with our motherhood and parenting, but it also, it translates to products that you're choosing to put on your children as well and on yourself. It's funny, my husband, I mean, this is totally off topic, but my husband just sent me like a reel last week about like the ingredients that they're putting in toilet paper and like the chemicals that they're putting in toilet paper and how like intimate the areas you're wiping with toilet paper. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never even thought that that I needed to check ingredients in toilet paper, right? Like, why would you think that there would be anything harmful there? But it's kind of crazy out there. It's again when you're dealing with a big business that all they're worried about is the bottom line, they'll cut corners and they'll do things that aren't maybe for the best intentions. But when you're focused on real people that are trying to just put put a positive experience out there for someone else because they didn't necessarily have that, or they learned about it and they want to share with others, it's a totally different energy. So like you're saying, Lital, I'm also an energy healer. I know I've mentioned this probably on the podcast a couple times, but I'm very very understanding of that mind body connection, and then how the energy flows and how important that is in the perinatal experience, and how we, you know, really like transpose that energy to our babies and to our partners and in our homes. And energy is kind of everywhere. So I would love to talk about that component of what you do and how it could support any moms listening and things like that. What would be like, besides your products, right? Like, what would be one takeaway that you'd want someone listening to really hear you in this
Right.
episode?
First of all, that's like I'm not surprised with the toilet paper, but I'm like kind of like, oh, great,
Just
another
another
thing
thing to worry
to
about, right? Yeah.
another thing to be worried about. Yes, and it's true. It's like it goes to such an intimate area. I'm sure it's not great for us. I'm sure. So yeah, on a different note, so I, in my belief and what I study and what I know and also what I feel, I truly believe that the kids, our children, choose us to be their parent. I think there's the soul is choosing the parent. I know it's kind of like a deep concept. Some people may not be connected to it, but just stay open. I'm saying it to the listeners. The soul is actually choosing us way before they even came to the world, already in the state of potential. And why? Why would they choose us? Why your four children chose you, Nicole, and why did my children choose me? Based on their journey, right? I believe this is not the first time that we are here. There's like a thing of reincarnation. I'm really not gonna go into it. Don't worry, it's gonna get like more fun and lighter. But the idea is that even before we conceive, I say because I host also healing circles for women and many people with actually difficulties with fertility come to me, and I say, you know what, you can connect to the soul of your child even before they're here. First of all, if you're trying to conceive, you need to feel. You don't need to do anything, but you can feel out if there's like soul that is waiting to come to you. And then you can invite this soul. I'm telling you, this worked. I had some issues. It took me some time to get pregnant with my first one. And you can meditate on it. You can invite the soul. You can write letters to the soul. You can kind of like there is like an unwritten agreement between you and the baby. Now, once you're pregnant already and it's manifested and this life is growing within you, you can connect to it in such a deep level. I almost knew the purpose of my daughter because I was connecting to her. You can meditate on it. You can ask, but not in your own language. It doesn't have to be so fancy. Just like to understand the connection and to understand the role in your life of this baby and what is he or she or they came to this world, right? What is the purpose? What is your role? So you already know that it's such a spiritual, like a deep spiritual bond between you and your children. It's just not just for you to raise them, but it's actually it's you're part of their soul journey, right? And that understanding, I think it really makes it, this is kind of like the spiritual stuff, right? But on a practical level, I can say that when you have this kind of like mindset, many things, I know it maybe sounds like a little out there right now, but many things will get so much clearer for you. Oh, how they are why they are behaving this way, or this and that, or if there's like a hiccup on the road, and there will be because it's part of life. But you kind of like, sometimes I joke sometimes when when one of my daughters is like acting up and she's complaining about me, or like I annoy her. I'm sorry, you chose me. right? So, but you kind of like with this understanding, you see your life and you see your connection and your relationship with your kids in the big picture. In the big picture, you kind of understand what they came here to this in this world, not just like as a profession, right? Oh, they're going to be a lawyer, doctors, accountants, but kind of like who they are. What is their essence?
Yeah.
And
What
you will
lessons are
see
they learning this time around? What karmic cycles are they here for?
exactly, and you will see that their personality is exactly what you need for your growth and what you need for your development as a human being. And you'll see that oftentimes they really, especially one kid, like there's usually like one kid in a family that is usually pushing your buttons more than the other
Yep.
ones. But now with this understanding is like, okay, this is for me, it's not
There are mirrors and our challenge, they challenge you because they're showing you what, yeah, like you said, what you need at the time.
what you need at the time, how can you change from it, how you can evolve from it, how you can grow from it together. And when you do that, you actually, it's exactly what you're saying with the karmic debt. It's not just for now. You actually, it makes so much sense. Let's say, for example, um, there's a trigger or there's like real difficulty with one of your children. You can ask yourself, what is going on here? What's going on here? Why do I feel like so triggered? Why is it so difficult for me? What is this soul coming to teach him? What is this child is here to how can I help him? You know, we can especially now the helicopter parents, I'm sure you've heard about this like
Yeah.
expression. We are like we want to control them, control their life. We want to make everything so perfect for them. So we want to do everything we can um, for them not to feel pain, for them to avoid pain. You know, this whole concept, it's kind of new, this whole concept of like I'm in charge of my child's happiness. Well, we are and we're not, right? We have their own journey. We are here to support them. We need to know that we are their channel to bring their full potential, to manifest this full potential into this world. So someone can say, wait, what do you mean? Abused child? Because it comes up in every conversation and it's a very good question. What do you mean? Someone who's going through horrible abused as a child, or even really hard stuff like sexual abuse or domestic abuse and all that. You want to tell me that I choose this parent? Well, the answer is yes, but not for you to be here and suffer. Not at all. It's actually to grow from it. You don't know why you had to go. We don't know. Some things we don't even go into because we don't know why they happen. There is a reason why it's happening for you to overcome this, for you to actually become even greater. You don't know what you need to cleanse. Nobody wants to suffer. And absolutely, I don't want it to sound like I'm sending the child in the fire. Not at all. The opposite. The opposite. We're here to overcome these things. We're here to grow from them. And how many times we've seen like the greatest therapists also went through abuse. So sometimes we go through challenges in life so we can actually help others.
Right.
So to your question, what I want listeners to know, yeah, I wanted to know that they chose you and it's perfect. There's no mistakes, right? There's no mistakes in creation. Your child is designed for you, but not just to have like a small, nice, happy family, which is amazing. But I always encourage people and invite people to look at the big picture and to understand their child a little better and to know that even when they have weird dreams or scary dreams or really anything, it always put like takes me back to their purpose, to my purpose with them together, to understand that there's such a strong spiritual bond with between us.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. One of my mentors for many years now, she has at her very like core what she calls incarnation intentions, right? So we're incarnated into this world, and what are our all of our intentions as humans? And I think there are three total. There may be four, but the three. One is to have a human, physical, emotional experience. So every single one of us comes to this world through a mother, through the womb, to have a physical, human, emotional experience. And that involves everything of what you're saying, right? It's not always easy, it's not nice, it doesn't fit in a box, but it's you're experiencing all the emotions, you're experiencing, what life has to offer, whether it's good or bad. So I love that. Thank you so much. I think, also pregnancy is such a great reflection time, right? I think, with all of my pregnancies that just those moments that the baby's kicking or the moments that you're exhausted and like giving yourself that time to rest because like you're giving that permission where normally maybe you wouldn't. There's so many opportunities for reflection, and like what better way to pause and reflect than to really connect in with your womb, really connect in with your baby and create those bonding moments. So I think
Right.
that's really beautiful.
One thing that came to me that I feel like I just have to say it, we live in a society, I don't know, I live in New York City. It's like really environment of like do and push yourself no matter what. And I feel that today more than ever, women the depression after pregnancy. And I think part of the reasons is because there's like, and it's kind of like what connected to what you were saying. It's kind of like lack of acceptance. We want to give birth and be the same as we were before. We want to give birth and have kids and a career. And now, nothing is wrong with that at all. I have a career and I have kids. It's not about that. But after you give birth, and I think it's very important to understand, you have to be like almost like I listened to this podcast. It was amazing. Radical acceptance of the changes of the you need to kind of like let go of how your body was. Sometimes you need to let go of your comfort zone. I mean, it's all temporary, but still, we have to like flexible with the new phase in life. And I think many women in particular, and I see that trying to hold on to what it was before. And I think part of this journey is to let go and like really be flexible and just embrace it, accept it without even trying to change it. This is how it is. The sleepless nights, I don't need to tell you with 4 kids, right? The sleepless nights, the changes, the fears, the all of that. But I think especially the postpartum depression is in the first few months after recovery. I mean, and that of course you require treatment and medical and like medicine and all of that. But I think the consciousness, you can prepare yourself in advance to, you know what? My life is different now. My life is different and my vessel is different now. I stretched my vessel completely. It's not about me anymore. And sometimes, like growing pains, it's painful. It's painful, but it's like flexibility and like to adjust to the changes. I think the journey will be a lot smoother.
Yeah, I think like you hit the nail on the head. Like it's mindset, it's how your intentions, it's the seeds that you're planting, right? Like everything that you've kind of said over the last, few moments of our conversation, it's been really, really enlightening. With 4 kids, it gets hectic more days than not. The whole time we've been recording, they've been trying to barge my door down if you can hear them in the background. But it's these conversations that I'm really grateful for because it just reminds me of those like really fundamental reasons why, again, why women are having children and what opportunities and what power we have within us to really create the next generation, right? Like it's so powerful. We forget that, I think, because of all the other things that we're dealing with, right? And it's just a beautiful reminder. So for our listeners, if that's what you get from this conversation, please let it just be a reflection and a time for you to sit and be grateful for yourself and be grateful for your body and everything that you're able to do even though pregnancy, birth, and postpartum have so many challenges, parenting has so many challenges, there's so many ups and downs, but at the very, very core, like, it's really powerful and amazing of what we get to do. So don't lose sight of that.
Totally.
But yeah, Lital, we always ask all of our guests this question. So I would love to know, speaking of the village, of, a woman's village, what role would you say is most valuable or most crucial in that village for them?
I would say, besides the doulas that were always great help, I would say a friend, like a very good friend that actually gets you, um, that really gets you, and you can vent to, and you can be your ugly self too. And someone who's like a good friend that is experienced. I'm talking from my experience. I had my very good friend in labor with me 2 times. But even after, when I went through, my oldest daughter was like, as a newborn, she was crying nonstop, and I was scared. So she was kind of like, she was like a tough mama. She put the pacifier. She put like she was really really there for me. So I would say that. And as far as the professionals, I would say the doulas, the doulas, and the postpartum doulas in particular, because the doulas are sometimes they just help with labor, but the postpartum doulas, these are the ones who will actually support you in the process after, like, and if it's lactation, or just to have someone to kind of like, it's okay, everything is okay.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need that one person, right? We
Yes,
hear that all the time. You just need that one
exactly.
person. All right. Well, it's so lovely to connect and talk to you. In the show notes, we'll have information about Lital and the WholeNest products. So if you're interested in purchasing them for your journey or gifting them to a friend, like she said, they're multifaceted. So even if you're past that 6 weeks postpartum period, you can definitely use them. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out as well. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and all the best
Yes.
to all of you. Thank you.